Don't look behind you. Welcome to Disailer. I've been a night shift taxi driver in Chicago for 20 years. Last Tuesday, I broke the one rule we all know, and I don't think I ever really came back. I'm writing this from a motel room in Indiana. I don't know why I drove here. I just needed to get away from the city. I burned my SIM card about an hour ago, but I'm using the motel Wi-Fi on a burner laptop because I need to get this down. I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy, or conversely, confirm that I am, so I can just check myself into a facility and stop looking at the mirrors. If you drive a cab or an Uber in a major city, you know the vibe, especially the graveyard shift, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. It's a different world. The corporate suits fade out around 10, the drunks and partygoers peak around 2, and from 3 to 5, it's the twilight zone. That's when you get the insomniacs, the people running from something, the nurses starting early shifts, and the things that don't quite fit. We have an unwritten rule in the Chicago night driver community. It's not written in any handbook, and Uber support won't tell you about it. It's passed down at the airport waiting lots or over styrofoam coffee at 4 a.m. diners. The rule: if the GPS gives you a route that doesn't exist on a map, but the ETA is under 10 minutes, you decline the ride. It sounds stupid. Technology glitches, right? Satellites drift. But every veteran knows it. You'll get a ping, the pickup is normal, but the destination will be a blank spot or a street name that sounds archaic, and the blue line on the map will cut straight through a river or a building. You decline. You take the acceptance rate hit. You move on. I've followed that rule for 2 decades, until Tuesday. I was driving my own medallion cab, not a rideshare, though I use a third-party app to aggregate hails. It was raining, that heavy, cold, Midwestern rain that turns the streetlights into bleeding streaks of neon on the asphalt. I was tired, not just end-of-shift tired, but mortgage is overdue and my back hurts tired. I was sitting on the corner of Wacker and Dearborn, watching the wipers slap back and forth, hypnotized. Ping. I looked at the tablet mounted on my dash. Pickup, the Drake Hotel. Passenger, Mr. G. Destination, calculating. Fare estimate, $150.50, flat rate. That woke me up. $150 for a city ride? That's a unicorn. Usually a flat rate that high means a drive out to the suburbs, Naperville, or maybe even crossing the border into Wisconsin. I tapped accept before I could think about it. The money was too good. I pulled up to the Drake. The doorman wasn't there, which was odd for a hotel of that caliber, even at 3:15 a.m. Standing under the awning was a man. He looked normal enough, a beige trench coat, a fedora, which usually screams hipster doofus, but on him it looked like it belonged to a black and white photo, and a leather briefcase. He didn't wave, he just walked to the back door as soon as I stopped. He got in. The air in the cab instantly changed. You know that smell when you walk into a basement that hasn't been opened in 50 years? Dust, stale air, and something metallic like old copper. It smelled like that, mixed with a faint haunt of ozone. "Good evening," I said, eyeing him in the rearview mirror. He was older, maybe 60. Sharp features, pale skin, eyes that were dark enough to merge with the shadows of the back seat. "Good evening, Thomas," he said. I froze. I don't have my name posted anywhere visible to the back seat, and the app just says driver. "It's on the app," he said, as if reading my mind. "Thomas, a good biblical name. Doubting Thomas." "Right," I muttered. "Where are we headed tonight, sir? The app didn't finalize the destination." He smiled. It was a tight, practiced smile. "Just drive north, Thomas. I'll guide you." "I can't do that, sir. I need a destination for the meter, or the flat rate won't register." "The rate is already paid." He tapped the briefcase on his lap. "Drive north, Sheridan Road." My gut was screaming at me. Every instinct I'd honed over 20 years was telling me to kick him out.
but I thought about the overdue notice on my kitchen counter. I put the car in drive, and we headed north on Lakeshore Drive. The lake was a pitch-black void to my right, the city a wall of lights to my left. "It's traffic light," he said. "Usually is this time of night. It is peaceful, the space between the day and the night, the seam." I didn't reply. I turned on the radio, keeping it low on a classic rock station, just to have some noise to fill the silence. Hotel California was playing, cliché. We passed the exits for Belmont, then Irving Park. The rain was getting harder, drumming against the roof like a handful of gravel thrown by a giant. "Turn off the music, please," Mr. G said. I switched it off. "Take the next exit," he commanded. "Foster?" "The exit," he repeated. I took the exit. We hit the surface streets. This is where things started to get wrong. I know Edgewater and Andersonville like the back of my hand, but as we turned onto a side street off of Broadway, the geometry felt off. The buildings seemed taller, they leaned in over the street, and there were no other cars, not parked, not driving, just empty gray pavement slick with rain. "Keep going," Mr. G whispered. I looked at the GPS. The screen was flickering. The blue arrow was spinning in circles. The street name at the top read, "Error, no data." Then the text changed. "Destination, the Nadir."
My stomach dropped. "Sir, my GPS is acting up. I'm gonna pull over and reset it." "No," he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it resonated in the bones of my skull. "Do not stop the vehicle, Thomas. If you stop, they will catch up." "Who?" "The ones who live in the static." I looked in the rearview mirror again. Mr. G wasn't looking at me. He was looking out the window. His hand was pressed against the glass. "Look at the people, Thomas," he said. I looked out the side window. The sidewalks weren't empty anymore. There were figures standing there, but they weren't walking. They were just standing, facing the street. Hundreds of them. They were gray, featureless, like mannequins made of wet clay. As we drove past, their heads turned in unison to follow the car. I slammed on the gas. "What the hell is this?" "Do not stop," Mr. G repeated, his voice calm. "We are in the transit layer now. It connects the places you know. Usually, you skip over it. You blink, and you are there. Tonight, we are taking the scenic route." I drove faster. I ran a red light, but the light wasn't red. It was purple, a deep, bruising purple that hurt my eyes. The street stretched out. It should have ended at the lake, but it just kept going. The architecture changed. The Chicago brick bungalows morphed into towering, brutalist slabs of concrete with no windows. "Where are you taking me?" I shouted. "I am not taking you anywhere. You are taking me. I am merely the passenger." "I want out! I'm stopping!" "Thomas," he said, and for the first time he sounded sad. "If you stop, you become part of the pavement. Look at the road." I looked down. The headlights illuminated the asphalt. It wasn't asphalt. It was faces, millions of them, flattened, stretched gray faces screaming in silence, pressed together to form the road surface. My tires were rolling over them. I could feel the bumps. Thump, 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 like running over a chaotic series of speed bumps, but softer, squishier. I screamed. I think I screamed. I couldn't hear myself over the sound of the rain, which had changed pitch. It sounded like whispering now. A billion voices whispering, "Hush, hush, hush." "Keep driving," Mr. G commanded. "Focus on the destination." "I don't know where we're going." "The end of the line." I drove for what felt like hours. The gas gauge didn't move. The clock on the dashboard was stuck at 3:33 a.m. The city outside the window became a blur of impossible shapes, staircases leading into the sky, buildings that pulsed like lungs. Then I saw it, up ahead, a toll booth. It was a single lonely booth in the middle of this nightmare highway. A light shone above it, yellow and warm, the only real color I'd seen in forever. The gate arm was down. "Stop here," Mr. G said. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded on the face road, sliding to a halt just inches from the gate. Mr. G opened the door. The sound of the outside world rushed in.
a howling wind that sounded like a choir of tuning forks. "Wait here," he said. He stepped out, carrying his briefcase. He walked up to the toll booth. There was no one inside. He opened the briefcase, took out something that glowed with a sickening green light, and placed it on the counter of the booth. The gate arm lifted. He walked back to the car, but he didn't get in. He leaned into the passenger window. "Thank you for the ride, Thomas." "Get back in," I yelled. "Don't leave me here." "I cannot go back," he said. "This is where I live. But you can turn around, but you must do it quickly. The toll is paid, but the gate won't stay open for the return trip." "How do I get back?" "Put it in reverse, close your eyes, count backward from 10. Do not open your eyes until you hear the honk." "The honk?" "Go!" he screamed, his face suddenly distorting, his jaw unhinging to reveal rows of needle teeth.
I threw the car into reverse, slammed the gas. I closed my eyes. 10. I felt the car spinning, not sliding, but spinning on an axis that shouldn't exist. 9. The whispering rain turned into a roar. 8. I felt hands grabbing at the tires. The car lurched. 7. The smell of ozone and copper filled my lungs, choking me. 6. I heard my mother's voice calling my name from the back seat. I knew she had been dead for 10 years. "Tommy, turn around. Look at me." 5. "Don't look, don't look, don't look," I chanted. 4. The heat, it became unbearably hot. 3. The car felt like it was falling, free fall. My stomach was in my throat. 2. Silence. Absolute, heavy silence. 1. Honk! My eyes snapped open. I was sitting at a green light on Clark Street. A delivery truck behind me was laying on the horn. It was raining, normal rain. The street lights were yellow. The buildings were brick. I gasped, sucking in air like a drowning man. I looked in the rearview mirror. Empty. I looked at the dashboard clock. 3:34 a.m. Only 1 minute had passed. I pulled over to the nearest bus stop and threw up. I sat there for 20 minutes, shaking, waiting for the world to melt again. It didn't. I checked the app on my tablet. Last ride. Passenger. Canceled by driver. Fare. $0.00. I laughed. A hysterical, broken sound. I had imagined it. I had fallen asleep at the wheel, had a micro-sleep nightmare, and woke up. That was it. Stress. Exhaustion. I decided to call it a night. I turned off the app and headed home. I live in a small apartment in Logan Square. I parked the car, walked up the stairs, and unlocked my door. I just wanted a shower and a drink. I walked into the bathroom and turned on the light. I looked in the mirror, and that's when I knew I hadn't imagined it. That's why I'm in Indiana now. In the mirror, my reflection was doing what it was supposed to do. It was copying my movements. But behind me, in the reflection, the shower curtain was closed. In reality, the shower curtain was closed. I turned around. Closed. I looked in the mirror. Open. And in the mirror, standing in the bathtub, was Mr. G. He was waving. I ran. I grabbed my go bag, my laptop, and I drove. I didn't look in the rearview mirror the entire way. I ripped it off the windshield and threw it in the back seat. I'm in this motel room now. There's a mirror above the dresser. I covered it with a towel as soon as I walked in. But about 10 minutes ago, while I was typing this, I heard a sound. A soft, wet thump coming from the ceiling, like tires rolling over something soft. And the towel on the mirror, it's starting to slide down, just an inch at a time. I don't think I returned to the real world. I think I just found a different layer of the ride. I checked my bank account online to see if I had enough cash to stay here another night. There was a deposit made 2 hours ago. Amount, $150. Reference, toll change. Keep the meter running. I think he's waiting for the return trip. Edit. The towel just fell. The reflection of the room is empty. I'm not in it, but Mr. G is. He's sitting on the bed behind where I should be. He's holding a sign.
It says, ETA, 1 minute. I hear a car honking outside. It sounds like my car. I have to go. If you're in Chicago and you see a cab with no driver, don't hail it. God help me.
I'm posting this from a laptop I bought with cash at a pawn shop 3 towns over from where I live. I'm not using my home Wi-Fi. I'm not using my real name. If you know anything about modern armor, you might guess the vehicle. And if you follow geopolitics, you might guess the war. But do me a favor, don't guess. Don't look for coordinates. Don't try to find the unit patches. Just listen to what I have to say. And if you ever see a recruiter, smiling at you near a high school cafeteria, walk the other way. They call the tank an iron coffin for a reason. Civilians think it's a power trip. 60 tons of composite armor, depleted uranium, and a smooth-bore cannon that can delete a building from 2 miles away. And yeah, when you're buttoned up and the turbine is screaming, you feel like a god. But when the engine dies, when the optics fail, you're just meat in a tin can, waiting for a can opener. I was the driver. That means I lived in a hole in the front of the hull, separated from the rest of the crew in the turret. It's the loneliest job in the Army. You lie on your back in a reclining seat, staring through 3 small periscopes, vision blocks, and a thermal display. You steer with a handlebar. When the turret traverses, you feel the hydraulic whine in your teeth. You smell diesel, sweat, stale farts, and CLP oil. That was my world for 6 months. The region we were in, let's just call it the gray zone. Eastern Europe, maybe, or near the Caucasus. It was a proxy war, low intensity, until it wasn't. The terrain was endless, rolling steppe, churned into a freezing slurry of mud and snow by months of artillery duels. Our tank was call sign Viper 2-1. The crew was solid. SSG Miller, TC, Santos, gunner, the kid, Ellison, loader, and me, driver. It was late November. The fog in that part of the world is heavy. It doesn't just sit on the ground, it presses down on you. It muffles sound. It messes with the laser rangefinders. We were ordered to push out to a grid coordinate about 15 clicks north to find 2 IFVs, infantry fighting vehicles, that had gone silent. The drive was hell. The mud was that thick, clay-like sludge that sucks boots off feet and bogs down tracks. Through my thermal viewer, the world was a wash of monochromatic gray and black. Trees were ghostly skeletons. About 5 clicks out, the radio chatter from HQ died. Static replaced it, followed by a sound like wet tearing, raw steak being ripped in half, looped over and over. "Comms are jammed," Miller said. "Russian EW is active. Stay sharp." We eventually found them. 2 IFVs sitting in a shallow valley. Cold, no heat signatures. I maneuvered Viper next to the lead vehicle. The metal looked pitted and corroded, like it had been rotting there for 50 years, not 3 hours. Miller popped the hatch to investigate. "Jesus," Miller coughed over the intercom. "It smells like a chemical plant threw up out here. Ozone, sulfur, and overripe peaches." "What do you see?" I asked. "There's nobody here," Miller said, voice shaking. "The inside is coated in something, gray moss or mold, and... Wait, there's a helmet here. It's fused to the seat, melted into the cushion." A sudden sound cut through the intercom, a high-pitched screech from outside. "Scree! Scree!" "TC, drop!" Santos yelled. Miller slammed the hatch shut. "Driver, reverse! Get us out of here!" I threw the transmission into reverse and floored it. The turbine roared, but the tank didn't move. "We're stuck!" I yelled. "The tracks are spinning!" I looked at the rear camera. The mud behind us was moving. It was bubbling, rising up around the drive sprockets like rising dough. "We're mobility killed," I said.
panic setting in. The mud is hardening. Then came the knock. It was soft at first. Tap, tap, tap. It came from the front glacis plate, right above my head. That's 600 millimeters of composite armor. You shouldn't be able to hear a finger tapping on it. But this sounded like someone tapping on a glass window.
"Did you guys hear that?" I whispered. Bang, bang, bang. This time, the whole crew heard it. It wasn't on my hatch, it was on the side of the turret now. "Contact! Infantry!" Miller screamed. "Coax, spray the perimeter!" The coaxial machine gun roared, spitting rounds into the fog, but Santos couldn't see anything on the thermals. Silence returned. Then the radio crackled. The static cleared instantly, replaced by a crystal-clear voice. "Please, open the door. It's cold." It sounded like the kid, but the kid was sitting right there, mouth closed, face pale. "Kid, was that you?" Miller asked. "No, Sarge." The voice came again. "Ellison, Mom's here. Open the door, honey." The kid started hyperventilating. "That's my mom! My mom died 4 years ago!" The knocking returned, but it changed. It sounded like someone running their hands all over the tank, fast, too fast, scratching fingernails or claws, skittering across the steel hull. It was everywhere at once. "Traverse left! Crush it!" I yelled. The turret spun, then stopped with a violent jerk. Squee! "Hydraulic failure!" Santos yelled. "Something jammed the ring!" We were a 60-ton paperweight, blind, stuck. I looked at my vision blocks. Through the center block, the fog swirled. Then, a face pressed against the glass. It was upside down, gray, no hair, eyes pure black. The mouth was open, revealing rows of needle-like translucent teeth. It wasn't looking at me, it was looking for me. I screamed and slammed the blackout shield down. Thump, thump, crack! The bulletproof glass spiderwebbed. "It's breaking in!" I shrieked. I drew my service pistol, shaking. Suddenly, the scratching stopped. Time blurred. The temperature dropped. The heater failed. Then, the thermal sight came back online. "I got visuals," Santos whispered. "Oh my God, they're everywhere. Hundreds of them." "People?" Miller said. "No, they're weaving," Santos said, gagging. "They're weaving the trees together, taking the branches and the bodies from the IFVs and making a web around us." "Fire a heat round," Miller ordered. Boom! The cannon fired, but there was no explosion. "It stopped," Santos said. "Something caught the round." The radio keyed up again, Miller's voice, but not Miller speaking. "That was rude. We just want to integrate. The metal is cold, the flesh is warm. Let us in. We are the mud, we are the step, we are the rust." The scratching returned from under the tank. I heard the bolts of the hull escape hatch squealing. They were being unscrewed from the outside. "They're under me!" I yelled. I shone my flashlight down. The heavy bolts were rotating. "Ellison, load canister! Clear a path!" "I can't! The ammo door is stuck!" The bolts popped out like bullets. The hatch plate pushed up, bending the breaker bar. I jammed against it. Gray, multi-jointed fingers curled over the lip. I fired my pistol. The rounds hit the gray flesh, but it just rippled like water. The fingers kept pushing. Then the interior lights turned red, then green. The turbine engine roared to life on its own, maxing out the RPMs. The tank lurched, not forward, down. The ground beneath us gave way. We were falling into a tunnel. The sensation of falling in a 60-ton tank is indescribable. You float, then slam. We hit something hard. My head smashed against the periscope, and I blacked out. When I woke, the tank was angled nose down. The engine was idling. "Sound off! Crew report!" Silence. I unbuckled and crawled through the pass-through into the turret. The emergency lights flickered.
The turret basket was empty. No Miller, no Santos, no kid. The hatches were still locked from the inside. But the walls, the interior steel was covered in that gray webbing. And in the webbing, I saw faces, impressions like death masks pressed into wet clay. I saw Miller's face in the breech guard, the kid's face on the radio rack. Their eyes were closed, peaceful, as if they had melted into the machine. I tried the loader's hatch, jammed. I looked at the cupola of periscopes. We were underground. A pulsating, bioluminescent purple light filled the tunnel, and on the walls, thousands of the gray things were crawling. They were stripping the tank. Not stripping parts, they were stripping the idea of it. I watched them peel the Viper 2-1 stencil off the barrel, and as they did, I forgot the name of the tank for a second. They pulled the antenna off, and I forgot the radio frequency. They were eating the information. I scrambled back to the driver's hole. The belly hatch was gone, just a hole leading to the dark tunnel. I had a choice: become part of the wall like the crew, or drop. I dropped. I landed in warm, pulsing muck. I ran. I didn't look back. The creatures on the walls watched me with empty eyes, but they didn't touch me. I think they let me go because I wasn't part of the machine anymore. They wanted the tank. They wanted the crew who refused to leave it. I clawed my way up a slope of shifting dirt until I broke the surface. I collapsed in the snow. The fog had lifted. The moon was out. I looked back at the valley. The ground was flat, pristine snow. No tracks, no mud pit, no tank. A recon drone found me 6 hours later. I told them we were ambushed. Ammo rack detonation. Crew vaporized. They didn't believe me. There was no wreckage, but they couldn't prove otherwise. But here is the thing that keeps me awake. During my medical eval, the doctor found something. "You have a tattoo?" he asked. On my right shoulder blade, the skin was raised and gray, scar tissue forming distinct letters, Viper 2-1. It wasn't ink. It was like the skin had been molded. I was discharged for psychological unfitness. But last night, I was in my garage. I dropped a wrench. Clang! From underneath my car, I heard a tap. 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 I ran inside and locked the door. I can hear it now, coming from the pipes in the walls. Please open the door. It's cold. The tank didn't die. It's somewhere else, and I think it wants its driver back. Edit. I'm hearing the sound of tracks outside my house. My driveway is gravel, but this sounds like metal on asphalt. Heavy, rhythmic. If I stop posting, don't look for me. And if you see a tank in the fog, turn around. It's not one of ours. Update. They aren't knocking anymore. They're unscrewing the hinges.
I watched a meteorite fall in the woods behind my house. My dog found it first, and now I don't know what I let back inside. I'm typing this on my phone, huddled in the corner of my master bathroom. I've pushed the heavy oak vanity in front of the door, but I can still hear the scratching. It's not the frantic scratching of a dog wanting to come in. It's slow, deliberate. Scritch, scritch, pause, scritch. It's testing the wood. I need to get this down while I still have battery and while my mind is still somewhat my own. If anyone lives near the Blackwood Ridge area in northern Vermont, do not go into the woods tonight. If you see a light in the sky, look away. It started about 3 hours ago, or maybe a lifetime ago. I live on the edge of the tree line, a good 5 miles from the nearest paved road. It's just me and Barnaby, my 4-year-old golden retriever mix. We have a routine.
Every night around 10 p.m., I put on my jacket, grab a flashlight, and we walked the perimeter of the property. Tonight was different. The air felt charged, like the static you get before a massive thunderstorm, but the sky was perfectly clear. We were about a half-mile out when the woods suddenly went daylight bright. I looked up and saw it, a streak of silent violet fire. It moved sluggishly, heavy and oily, descending toward the earth with a wrong kind of physics. It hit the ground about 300 yards ahead of us. The impact felt like a sudden drop in pressure, a thump that hit me in the diaphragm. "Barnaby, heel," I said. But Barnaby didn't heel. Usually he's a coward, but tonight he was rigid, staring toward the crash site, low growls vibrating in his chest. Curiosity is a curse. I convinced myself it was just a meteorite. "All right," I whispered, "let's take a look." We crested the ridge. The impact site was in a small clearing where an old oak tree used to stand. The tree was gone, erased. In the center was a crater, maybe 10 feet across. The air above it was shimmering. I shined my beam into the hole. It wasn't a rock. It was a jagged, multifaceted mass of something that looked like obsidian, pulsing with a faint, rhythmic violet vein. Thump, thump. "Barnaby, leave it," I commanded. But the leash went slack. The collar was empty. Barnaby was already at the edge of the crater, whimpering. He was inching toward the black object. "Barnaby, no!" I screamed, lunging forward. I was too slow. The moment Barnaby's paw touched the edge of the black mass, the violet light lashed out. Tendrils of purple lightning arced from the stone and struck my dog. He didn't yelp, he just froze. The light died. Barnaby was standing in the crater. He looked fine. "Barnaby?" I whispered. He turned around. That was the moment the primal part of my brain started screaming. It looked like Barnaby, but the movement was wrong, jerky, mechanical, and the eyes were flat, reflective discs. He opened his mouth to pant, but the sound was a dry clicking, click, 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 hiss. I didn't wait. I turned and ran. I ran harder than I have ever run in my life. I heard the footsteps behind me. They weren't the four-footed gallop of a dog. It sounded like something heavy and wet slapping against the earth. Slap, slap, slap. I risked a glance over my shoulder. Barnaby was there, but he wasn't running. He was flowing. His torso seemed elongated, stretched out like taffy. His jaw was unhinged, hanging loose against his chest. I screamed and forced my legs to pump faster. I sprinted across the yard, fumbled with my keys, and threw myself inside, slamming the deadbolt home.
I collapsed against the door, gasping for air, my lungs burning. I waited. Silence. I crawled to the window and peeked through the blinds. The yard was empty. The motion sensor floodlight was on, illuminating the frost-covered grass. Nothing. Maybe I was crazy. Maybe it was a hallucination caused by whatever fumes that rock gave off. Then I heard it. Woof! It was a normal bark, happy, eager. It came from the front porch. "Arthur, open up. It's cold out here." I froze. My blood turned to ice. It wasn't a human voice. It was a mimicry. It sounded like me. It was my voice, recorded and played back through a speaker made of wet meat. "Good boy, Barnaby. Who's a good boy?" the voice outside said. "Let's go for a walk. Treat? Treat?" It was cycling through words I used, phrases I said to him every day, but the tone was flat, devoid of emotion. "Arthur, open door." I backed away from the window, stumbling into the kitchen. I grabbed the biggest knife from the block. Scritch,
Scritch! It was at the back door now. Play? The voice said. It was louder now, deeper. I want to play. I ran upstairs. I didn't know what else to do. I locked myself in the bathroom. That was 2 hours ago. For the first hour, it just walked around the house. I could hear it circling. Slap, slap, slap. It didn't sound like a dog anymore. It sounded heavy, like a man walking on his hands and knees. It smashed a window downstairs. I heard the glass shatter. I heard it moving through my kitchen, knocking over chairs. Then it started coming up the stairs. It didn't walk up the steps. It flowed up them. I could hear the friction of fur and something else rubbing against the banister. It's right outside the door now. I can hear it breathing. It's not panting. It's a wet, gurgling sound, like a drain trying to clear. "Arthur," it whispered about 10 minutes ago, but it wasn't my voice anymore. It sounded like many voices layered on top of each other, a chorus of the damned. "The stone is hungry. The stone sings." I tried to call the police, but the call won't go through. My phone shows full bars, but when I dial, all I hear is that sound, the violet static, the humming I heard in the woods. Wait, the scratching is stopped. It's quiet.
I'm going to try to move the vanity and peek through the keyhole. Maybe it left. Maybe it's gone back to the woods. Update 1. I looked. I wish to God I hadn't looked. The hallway light is on. I could see through the keyhole. Barnaby is sitting there. That he's unraveled. That's the only way I can describe it. His skin has split down the back, peeling open like a husk. Beneath the fur, there isn't muscle or bone. There is a pulsing, violet light. Geometric shapes, shifting and clicking, made of that black, obsidian substance. He was staring right at the keyhole. He saw me. He didn't speak this time. He just smiled. Dogs can't smile. They don't have the lips for it. But he pulled his face back until the skin tore, revealing rows of teeth that were too long, too sharp, and spiraled inward like a drill. He's starting to push against the door now. The wood is cracking. I don't have a weapon, just this knife, which feels like a toothpick against whatever that thing is. I'm going to climb out the window. It's a 20-foot drop to the patio, but I'd rather break my legs than let that thing in here. If you find this, if you find my phone, don't look for the meteorite. Don't look for Barnaby. Burn the woods. Burn it all down. I can hear the door hinges screaming. It's update 2. I'm in the shed. My ankle is broken. I can see the bone pressing against the skin. I dragged myself here through the garden. The house is lit up. All the lights are on. I can see shadows moving in the windows. Not just one shadow. There are 3 of them now. It didn't just replace Barnaby. It's making more. I'm watching them from the crack in the shed door. They are tearing the siding off the house. They are looking for me. The pain in my leg is blinding, but the fear is worse. Because I can feel something changing. My hand. The hand I'm typing with. I looked down at it a moment ago. The veins aren't blue anymore. They're glowing. A faint, pulsing violet. And I can hear it. Not with my ears, but in my head. A humming. A song. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. It tells me I don't need to be afraid. It tells me that the stone is a gift. It tells me that evolution is painful but necessary. My fingernails just fell off. They didn't bleed. There was just black, hard glass underneath. I don't think I'm going to run anymore. Barnaby, or the thing that was Barnaby, is sniffing at the shed door. He smells my fear? No, he smells his kin. I'm unlocking the door. It's so bright. The violet light. It's so warm.
The cursor blinked.
That was the only movement in the entire world. Arthur rubbed eyes that felt like they were filled with sand. He looked at the bottom right corner of his monitor, 11:42 p.m. "Jesus," he whispered. The sound of his own voice startled him. It was too loud, too flat against the oppressive silence of the 42nd floor. He had stayed behind to finish the Q3 projections. It was the kind of task that felt crucial at 2 p.m., but utterly meaningless at midnight. He hit save, closed his laptop, and stood up. His joints popped, a series of dry cracks that echoed through the open-plan office. The floor was a sea of gray partitions. Usually this space was a hive of low-level noise, phones trilling, keyboards clacking, the hum of gossip. Now it was a graveyard of monitors, their black screens reflecting the sterile LED strips overhead. Arthur grabbed his coat and headed for the elevators. He walked past the break room, catching the smell of burnt coffee that had been sitting in the pot for 8 hours. It smelled acidic, almost chemical. He pressed the down button. Nothing happened. The light didn't ignite. He pressed it again, harder. "Come on," he muttered. He looked at the digital display above the brushed steel doors. It was blank. No floor numbers, no arrows, just a dead, gray rectangle. Maintenance, he thought. They shut him down for service. It was annoying, but not alarming. He turned toward the stairwell access door at the far end of the hall. It was a long walk past the heavy oak doors of the executive suites. As he passed the CEO's office, Arthur slowed down. The blinds were usually drawn, but tonight they were open. Through the glass wall, the city skyline should have been visible, a glittering grid of amber and white. But there was nothing. Arthur stepped closer to the glass. It wasn't just dark outside. It was a void. No streetlights, no moon, no stars. Just a solid, impenetrable blackness pressed against the window pane. It looked like the building had been submerged in ink. A cold prickle of sweat broke out on his lower back. Fog, he told himself, just heavy fog. He pushed through the heavy fire door into the stairwell. The concrete echo chamber was freezing. He started down the stairs, his footsteps slapping loudly against the steps. Clack, clack, clack. He reached the landing for the 41st floor. The door was locked. He went down to the 40th, locked. 39th, locked. Okay, he breathed. Ground floor it is. He fell into a rhythm. Down 2 flights, turn. Down 2 flights, turn. He checked his watch. He'd been walking for 5 minutes. He should be near the lobby. He looked at the digital number painted on the concrete wall of the next landing. 42. Arthur stopped. He gripped the railing, his knuckles turned white. He looked up the shaft, then down. It looked identical in both directions. "No," he said, a nervous chuckle escaping his throat. "I misread it." He ran down the next flight, then the next. He sprinted, his breath coming in ragged gasps, counting the landings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He slammed to a halt and looked at the wall. 42. He wasn't moving, or rather, the building was moving with him. Panic, sharp and bright, spiked in his chest. He grabbed the handle of the door labeled 42 and shoved. To his surprise, it opened. He stumbled back out into the office he had just left. But it was different. The lights had dimmed to a sickly yellow hue, buzzing like a nest of angry wasps, and the layout was wrong. The rows of cubicles seemed to have stretched. The aisle he was standing in looked longer than it had been 10 minutes ago, disappearing into a gloom that the yellow lights couldn't penetrate. "Hello?" Arthur called out. "Is anyone here? Security!" Security, security, itty. The echo didn't sound like his voice. It sounded wet. Arthur walked back toward his desk. He needed his phone. He needed to call 911. He reached his cubicle, row F, desk 4. His laptop was gone. In its place was a vintage typewriter, heavy black metal. A fresh sheet of paper was rolled into the platen. Arthur reached for his pocket to find his cell phone. It wasn't there. He patted his coat, his pants. Gone. He looked at the desk phone, the Cisco IP model. The cord had been severed, not cut, but chewed. The wires were frayed and coated in a thick, clear slime. Ring! Arthur jumped, spinning around.
The sound came from the darkness at the far end of the expanded office. Ring! It was an old mechanical ring, the kind telephones made 50 years ago. Arthur didn't want to move, but the alternative was standing still in the yellow hum. He began to walk toward the sound. As he passed the cubicles, he noticed the personal items on the desks. They were changing. In row G, the family photos were face down. In row H, the photos were face up, but the eyes of the people in them had been scratched out with a black marker. In row I, the desks were covered in teeth. Arthur stopped. He stared. Piles of molars, canines, and incisors were stacked neatly next to staplers and hole punches. Ring! It was louder now. He was approaching the corner office, the manager's office. The door was a frosted glass slab. The light inside was on. He could see a silhouette sitting behind the desk. "Hey!" he shouted, voicing cracks. "Hey, I'm stuck! The elevators are dead!" The ringing stopped. The silhouette didn't move. Arthur approached the door. He reached for the handle, his hand trembling. He pushed it open. The chair swiveled around.
There was no one there. A suit jacket hung over the back of the chair. A white shirt was buttoned up, a tie perfectly knotted at the collar. But where the head and hands should have been, there was nothing. Just empty air. On the desk, the red phone sat off the hook. A voice was buzzing from the receiver. Arthur slowly picked it up and held it to his ear. "Arthur," a voice whispered. It sounded like a recording of his own voice, spliced together from different conversations. "Performance review." "Who is this?" Arthur screamed. "Redundancy. Optimization. The asset must be liquidated." The line went dead. Suddenly, the lights in the office snapped off. Total darkness. Arthur backed into a corner of the manager's office, crouching down. He squeezed his eyes shut. "Wake up," he thought. "I fell asleep at my desk. This is a stress dream." He heard a sound from the main floor. Thump. Drag. Thump. Drag. Something was moving through the cubicles. It was heavy. He could hear the fabric of the partitions tearing, the crunch of plastic monitors being crushed underfoot. Thump. Drag. "Where is the asset?" a voice boomed. It wasn't a human voice. It sounded like the grinding of tectonic plates, amplified through the building's PA system. Arthur clamped his hand over his mouth. Tears streamed down his face. The sound stopped just outside the glass office. Arthur opened his eyes. Through the frosted glass, he saw a shape. It was huge, scraping the drop ceiling. It looked like a tangle of limbs, wires, and office furniture fused together. An arm made of Ethernet cables pressed against the glass. Creak. The glass began to bow inward. Arthur scrambled. He looked around the room for a weapon, a letter opener, a heavy stapler, anything. He grabbed a brass award statue from the shelf. Salesman of the Year. The glass shattered. Arthur didn't wait to see what entered. He bolted past the entity, dodging a swinging appendage that looked suspiciously like a vending machine coil. He sprinted back into the dark maze of cubicles. "Please," he sobbed, running blindly. "Let me out. I quit. I swear to God, I quit." The floor beneath him shifted. The carpet became soft, spongy. It felt like walking on flesh. The air grew hot and humid, smelling of copper and ozone. He saw a light ahead, the glow of a computer monitor. It was his desk, row F, desk 4, but it wasn't the typewriter anymore. It was his laptop. The screen was bright blue. Arthur slid to a halt, his chest heaving. Was the nightmare over? Had he looped back to reality? He grabbed the mouse. Save and exit. Save and exit. A dialog box popped up on the screen. Error. Cannot leave. Project incomplete. No! Arthur smashed the keyboard. It's done. The projections are done. New task assigned. Survival. Estimated time. Eternal. The spongy floor began to secrete a sticky liquid. It was rising over his shoes. Arthur tried to pull his feet free, but the carpet held him fast.
It was digesting his soles. He looked up. The ceiling tiles were pulsing. They were breathing. From the darkness behind him, the thump drag returned. Faster this time. Arthur pulled at his legs, screaming. The carpet had swallowed him up to his ankles. He grabbed the edge of his desk, hauling with all his strength. The desk bit him. The drawer slid open like a jaw, jagged metal filing rails clamping down on his fingers. Arthur shrieked, blood spraying over the quarterly reports. The entity emerged from the gloom. Now he could see it clearly. It was a monstrosity of corporate debris. Its torso was a crushed copier machine, leaking toner like black blood. Its legs were bundles of fluorescent tubes that flickered as it walked. And its face was a collection of screens, dozens of tablets and phones taped together, all displaying different eyes. Some were crying, some were wide with terror. Arthur recognized the eyes. They belonged to Dave from accounting, Sarah from HR, the intern who went missing last Christmas. A creature loomed over him. A hand made of shredded documents reached out. "We need collaboration," the creature buzzed, the sound coming from a speaker embedded in its chest. "Get away from me!" Arthur kicked, losing a shoe to the living floor. "Join the team," the creature droned. "We are a family here." The shredder hand clamped onto Arthur's shoulder. It didn't cut him, it absorbed him. He felt his skin merging with the paper, his veins knitting together with the staples. He wasn't dying. That would have been a mercy. He was being filed. His memories were being uploaded. His childhood, his first kiss, his fear of spiders, all of it was being converted into data, scrolling rapidly across the screens that made up the creature's face. "No," Arthur whimpered, his voice fading as his throat turned into plastic. The creature pulled him close. The toner smell was overwhelming. "Welcome," it buzzed. Arthur felt his consciousness stretching, thinning out, spreading through the network of the building. He could feel the electricity in the walls. He could feel the elevator stuck on the 42nd floor. He could see through the security cameras. He saw the empty office. He saw the Salesman of the Year trophy lying on the floor. And then he heard a ding. The elevator doors at the end of the hall slid open. A young woman stepped out. She was holding a stack of files. She looked tired. She looked at her watch. "Hello?" she called out into the silent gray office. "Sorry I'm late. Is anyone still here?" Arthur tried to scream, "Run!" But all that came out was the low, steady hum of the air conditioning. He watched from the ceiling camera as the lights flickered. He watched the floor numbers on the elevator dissolve. He felt the building's hunger spike, a sensation that was now his own. New asset acquired, Arthur thought. And then he began to type.
Title: I took the number 7 tram home like I do every night. I was gone for 24 hours, but I never got off. Subreddit, r/no sleep. You at the City Sleeper 92, 5 hours ago. I'm typing this from my kitchen floor. I haven't taken my coat off yet. My hands are shaking so bad I keep hitting the wrong keys, so forgive the typos. I just need to get this written down before the details start to fade. Or before I wake up and realize I'm still on that damn tram. I work in data entry. It's soul-sucking 9 to 5 stuff, but yesterday I stayed until 8 p.m. to finish a project. By the time I walked out, it was pouring rain, the kind of rain that chills you to the bone. I ran to the tram stop, grateful when I saw the headlights of the number 7 cutting through the fog. That was the first red flag, though I didn't see it then. The number 7 usually runs every 15 minutes, but the street was empty. No cars, no other people, just me and this approaching tram. It looked old, not the sleek silver models the city rolled out last year. This was one of the boxy beige ones from the 90s. I figured it was a backup service because of the weather. I tapped my card on the reader. It didn't beep, just gave a dull thud, and sat in the back. There were 3 other people on board. A man in a gray suit reading a newspaper, a teenage girl with headphones, and an old woman clutching a plastic bag. Normal,
mundane. The tram lurched forward. I put my own headphones in and closed my eyes, waiting for the familiar rattle of the tracks. But the rattle never came. The ride was smooth, impossibly smooth. It felt like we were gliding on ice. I opened my eyes after what felt like 10 minutes. We should have been passing the stadium by then. We weren't. Outside the window, there was nothing but gray. Not fog, not rain, just a flat, featureless gray void. No streetlights, no buildings, no ground. It looked like a video game where the textures hadn't loaded in yet. My stomach dropped. I stood up and walked toward the driver's cabin. "Excuse me?" I called out. The man in the gray suit didn't look up. The teenage girl didn't blink. The old woman stared straight ahead. I reached out to tap the man in the suit on the shoulder. My hand stopped an inch from his fabric. The air around him was freezing, cold enough to burn. And I noticed something that made me recoil. He wasn't breathing. His chest wasn't moving. I looked at the newspaper he was holding. It wasn't a newspaper. It was just a sheet of paper with gibberish printed on it. XYKLT, RRNGT, pools. Just random letters mashed together in block paragraphs. "Hey!" I shouted, panic finally taking over. The girl with the headphones turned her head, slowly, too slowly, like a mechanical turret. She looked at me, and I screamed. She had eyes and a nose and a mouth, but they were wrong. They were slightly too big and positioned incorrectly. Her left eye was an inch higher than her right. Her mouth was a tight, horizontal slit that didn't look capable of opening. "The transfer is not complete," she said. Her voice didn't come from her mouth. It sounded like it was coming from the tram's PA system, static-filled and tinny. I ran to the doors. I jammed my fingers into the rubber seal and pulled, locked tight. I looked out the window again. The gray void was shifting. Shapes were forming. I saw my apartment building. Then I saw my office. Then I saw the park I played in as a kid. But they were all mashed together, twisting into a spiraling tower of concrete and glass that stretched up into the infinite gray.
The tram began to slow down. "Terminus," the PA system buzzed. "Correction facility." The doors hissed open. The air that rushed in smelled like ozone and burning hair. The 3 passengers stood up in perfect unison. They didn't walk, they shuffled, their feet not quite lifting off the floor. I huddled in the corner, behind the ticket machine. Do not get off, do not get off. The driver's cabin door opened. I hadn't seen the driver yet. A figure stepped out. It was wearing the standard city transit uniform, blue vest, white shirt. But where the head should have been, there was just light, a bright, burning white light that hurt to look at. It turned the light toward me. I felt a pressure in my head like a migraine spiking to a 10 in a split second. I heard a voice, not in my ears, but inside my skull. "You are early." "I just want to go home," I sobbed. "The timetable is absolute. You must wait." The figure raised a hand. It held a ticket puncher. It clicked it once. The sound was as loud as a gunshot. "Wait." The doors slammed shut. The passengers were gone. The light-headed driver was gone. The tram was empty. The lights inside flickered and died. I sat in the pitch black, listening to the sound of my own heartbeat. I don't know how long I sat there. It felt like hours, maybe days. I was thirsty, but my thirst never got worse. I was tired, but I couldn't sleep. I just sat in the dark, feeling the tram vibrate with a low, humming energy. Sometimes I heard scratching on the outside of the metal walls. Something wanted in. Then the lights snapped back on. The tram lurched, a violent physical jerk that threw me to the floor. The familiar clack-clack of wheels on tracks returned. I looked out the window.
Streetlights, rain, the 7-Eleven on the corner of my street. The doors opened. I didn't wait. I scrambled out, tripping onto the wet pavement, gasping for air that smelled like exhaust and rain, real rain. I ran the 3 blocks to my apartment without stopping. I fumbled with my keys, locked the deadbolt, and collapsed. I pulled my phone out to call the police or my mom or anyone. That's when I saw the date. I boarded the tram on Tuesday, October 24th at 8:15 p.m. My phone says it is Wednesday, October 25th at 9 p.m. I have 27 missed calls from my boss and my mom. There's a missing person post with my face on it circulating in local Facebook groups. But that's not the worst part. I just went to the bathroom to wash my face. I looked in the mirror. My left eye. It's about 1/4 of an inch higher than my right one. And when I try to speak, my voice sounds a little bit tinny, like there's static underneath it. I think I came back, but I don't think I came back right. Edit. I just coughed, and a small piece of gray paper fell out of my mouth. It has one word printed on it. Accepted. I don't think I'm going to work tomorrow.
Would you have opened that door? Tell me your choice in the comments below.
There are more stories waiting for you. Click here to continue the descent.
This is The Sailor. Don't look behind you.